The Pentagon has released some new footage. It shows a Russian aircraft dumping fuel on the U.S. drone that crashed into the Black Sea recently. Before this, the Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu had held a rare telephonic conversation with his American counterpart Lloyd Austin. Shoigu told Austin that flying drones near Crimea was provocative and could lead to an escalation in the Black Sea zone. Washington has said that the incident shows Moscow's increasingly aggressive behavior. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has offered his support to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin over the war in Ukraine. Al-Assad said that Russia is fighting neo-Nazis and old Nazis in Ukraine. He accused Western countries of supporting new Nazis after hosting old Nazis during World War II. This was during al-Assad's first trip out of West Asia after Syria faced devastating earthquakes last month. The city of Zaporizhzhia in Ukraine has restored its power supply after 6 months. The restoration is slowly bringing the city back to life as the war rages on. The restoration of power has also brought down the prices of power generators. Remember, Zaporizhzhia is home to Europe's largest nuclear power plant. It's been under Russian control since the war broke out last year. Joint drills between the U.S. and South Korea continue. This is an 11-day exercise. Troops from the two countries conducted air assault operations. This is the first time in 5 years that the U.S. and South Korea are holding joint drills at such a scale. The aim of the drills is to deter North Korea. Pyongyang has test-fired a number of missiles over the past year. South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol has arrived in Japan. He aims to open a new chapter of bilateral relations with the country. Since his election last year, he's made it clear that reviving relations with Japan is one of his top priorities. The two-day trip will include a leaders' summit. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is also expected to host a dinner. Ties between the two countries have deteriorated over the years. The atrocities committed during Japan's 35-year-long colonial rule had a huge role to play in the deterioration. Japan has released a video of what it believes to be the contrail from an intercontinental ballistic missile launched by North Korea. The video was filed from a Japanese F-15 fighter jet at an undisclosed location. The projectile may have flown higher than 6,000 kilometers for about 17 minutes. North Korea has conducted multiple missile launches this week. Taiwan has warned the Central American nation of Honduras against building diplomatic ties with China. Taiwan asked Honduras not to be tempted by the poison of aid from China. The Honduran foreign minister said that the decision to switch allegiance to China was partly because the country is up to its neck in financial debt. Honduras owes $600 million to Taiwan. A judge in Pakistan has said that he will stop the Islamabad police from arresting former Prime Minister Imran Khan if he surrenders in court. This is in relation to the Toshakhana gift case. The judge also urged supporters of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party to cooperate with law enforcement and not resist it. This comes a day after the police and PTI workers clashed outside Khan's residence in Lahore. A new official report states that Sri Lanka's economy shrank by a record 7.8% last year. Economic crisis in the country sparked widespread protests in the island nation. In July last year, a mob stormed the house of then-President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who had to flee the country. The new government, headed by Ranil Wickremesinghe, has worked to secure an extension of financial support from the International Monetary Fund. Eric Garcetti has been appointed the new U.S. ambassador to India. This comes after the position remained vacant for more than 2 years. Garcetti's appointment was delayed over his handling of sexual assault and harassment allegations against a former senior advisor. Garcetti is a former Los Angeles mayor. He's succeeding Ken Juster, who resigned from his position in January 2021. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has arrived in Germany. Netanyahu and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will discuss Iran and other issues of mutual concern. Parts of Berlin were cordoned off. This is to deal with protests in the German capital against Netanyahu's visit. Netanyahu has already cut his trip short over security concerns. Back home, protests continue against his proposed judicial overhaul. Protests broke out in Dakar, capital of the West African country Senegal. Supporters of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko took to the streets. This comes as Sonko faces a libel case which resumes this week. Protesters burned tires and hurled stones at the police. The police, in turn, fired tear gas at the protesters. The current president, Macky Sall, has neither confirmed nor denied his plans to run for office next year. 2,000 gang members have been moved to a new prison in the Central American country El Salvador. It was opened after the president's anti-gang push. The step has caused the prison population in the country to increase. After a dramatic spike in gang violence, El Salvador's president has worked to suspend some constitutional rights for them. As per the new rules, arrests can be made without a warrant. Detainees no longer have the right to a lawyer. Around 400,000 farm birds were culled in the South American nation of Chile. This comes after the country detected its first case of bird flu. Authorities say that the culled birds represent a small fraction of the poultry population. The outbreak was detected at an industrial plant which belongs to a meat producer. Chile's government has suspended the export of chicken for 28 days. Torrential rains have triggered flash floods in southern Turkey. At least 10 people have been killed. Search and rescue operations are on. The areas facing floods were hit by multiple earthquakes last month. Thousands of earthquake survivors were staying in tents, which have also been flooded. Heavy torrential rains continue to wreak havoc in the U.S. state of California. After a mudslide in a beach-facing community, a backyard swimming pool was hanging off a cliff. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has declared a state of emergency in 43 counties. More than 130,000 homes and businesses remained without electricity on Wednesday. People in the East African nation of Malawi are holding funerals for the victims of Cyclone Freddy. The cyclone made landfall in the country twice in 1 month. More than 200 people have been killed. More than 700 are injured and over 40 have gone missing. The president of Malawi has called for the international community to offer support. Peru continues to deal with the aftermath of Cyclone Yaku. The metropolitan area of Lima is covered in mud. Heavy rainfall triggered mudslides with damaged property. Roads are cracked, preventing water tankers from reaching people. Moderate to intense rainfall is expected to continue until Friday. Peru's president has declared a red alert in the country. Researchers have found rocks made of plastic debris in the Brazilian island of Trindade. Melted plastic intertwined with rocks on the island. This is located over 1,100 kilometers away from the mainland. Trindade Island is one of the world's most important conservation spots for green turtles. Thousands of turtles arrive each year to lay eggs. Scientists say this is the latest proof of mankind's growing influence over the Earth's geological cycles. Germany has introduced a national water strategy. It aims to cope with dry seasons and heat waves triggered by climate change. Berlin plans to set up and protect water reservoirs in forests, floodplains, towns and villages. The strategy includes restoring forests and green spaces. It will also lay out guidelines to regulate water distribution in the case of regional shortages. Germany is a water-rich country. However, high temperatures and low rainfall have drained water levels in the Rhine River. Britain has banned China-owned video-sharing application TikTok from government phones. TikTok has been under intense scrutiny. This is due to fears that user data could end up in the hands of the Chinese government. The US, Canada, Belgium, and the European Commission have already taken similar steps. The Biden administration has threatened to ban TikTok completely if its Chinese owners do not sell their stake. The video sharing application has more than 100 million users in the US. Meanwhile, Chinese Foreign Ministry has said that the US has not provided any evidence that TikTok threatens its national security. Long brewing troubles at Credit Suisse have exploded into a full-blown crisis. The bank's stock and bonds have lost over 1/4 of their value. The shares tumbled after Saudi National Bank refused to increase its stake in Credit Suisse. It's set to borrow up to $54 billion from the Swiss Central Bank to shore up confidence. Credit Suisse will also buy back about $3 billion worth of its debt. Self-exiled Chinese tycoon Guo Wengui has been indicted on 12 counts relating to an alleged $1 billion fraud. The charges were announced by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York yesterday. Charges against Wengui were wire fraud, securities fraud, bank fraud, and money laundering. The maximum sentences for the charges range from 5 to 20 years in prison. The People's Bank of China has vowed to improve financial market security following the Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. China's central bank has also vowed to respond to US and Western containment. It's also strengthening macro-prudential assessment of the foreign exchange market. The step is being taken to prevent the impact of overseas shocks. Richard Branson-owned Virgin Orbit has furloughed most employees. It's pausing operations for a week. The company is seeking funding following the failure of its first UK launch. It's looking for new investors to relieve financial pressure. The company has seen its stock drop significantly from its December 2021 debut. It reported a loss of $49.2 million in its last fiscal quarter. The UK is gearing up to invest over $1 billion in a supercomputer. The announcement comes as it's trying to build its own BritGPT. The Treasury Department has announced plans for an exascale computer. The announcement comes as UK does not want to risk losing out to China. The UK has also announced that it will invest $2.5 billion in quantum technologies over the next decade. Volkswagen has laid out the details of its planned all-electric car. Volkswagen's all-electric offering will cost under $26,000. The car will have a 450-kilometer range. It's expected to be launched across Europe by 2025. The German car maker is pushing to derive 80% of its sales from all-electric cars. The company has set a 2030 deadline to complete the transition. Microsoft seems to have removed the waitlist for its artificial intelligence-powered new Bing chat. This means that anyone can sign up and use the chatbot now. Until now, users had to add their names to a waitlist to try the new Bing. However, the tech giant has yet to release official information regarding a policy change. China's Baidu has debuted its ChatGPT equivalent, Ernie Bot. However, it skipped a live demo of this highly anticipated AI bot. This left the viewers rather disappointed. They were hoping for a stronger demonstration from China's entry into the space. China's internet search leader has bet billions of dollars on AI in a long-term quest to reinvent itself. Karim Benzema scored for Real Madrid to clinch a 1-0 win over Liverpool on Wednesday evening. Madrid's win assures them a spot in the Champions League quarter-finals. The Spanish giant beat Klopp's men 6-2 on aggregate. Madrid has also won the first leg of the clash against Liverpool at Anfield. Madrid have now knocked Liverpool out of the Champions League in 3 consecutive seasons. Violent clashes broke out between Eintracht Frankfurt FC fans and local police in Naples on Wednesday. Clashes erupted at Napoli and Frankfurt geared up for the second leg of their Champions League last 16 game. Eintracht fans had been banned from the game following unrest during the first leg of the match. Hundreds of ticketless Eintracht fans arrived in Naples, clashing with local police. Gunners manager Mikel Arteta has revealed that the Champions League is what's firing Arsenal's dreams. Arteta wants Arsenal to create a mythology around European nights at the Emirates. He also said that the pain of watching Champions League football from afar has served as motivation for Arsenal. The Gunners will face Sporting this evening in the second leg of their Europa League last 16 tie. Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani is emerging as the favourite to buy Manchester United ahead of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Both parties will hold their first face-to-face meeting with the club executive this week. Al Thani is a Qatari banker who is seeking to purchase United via his 9-2 foundation. Al Thani is intent on buying 100% of United without taking on any debt. Ratcliffe, on the other hand, is thought to only want the Glazers' 69% share. Australia's Football Association will continue with gambling ads amid protests. Politicians had called the ads completely and utterly out of step with community expectations. The ads were criticized after reports of children reciting gambling ads started doing the rounds. They were also able to identify companies by their brand colors. However, the gambling decision has been taken to make the sport more competitive and increase its market share. Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies has been handed an 8-match ban by the NBA. The ban comes after Morant displayed a firearm at a Denver strip club. The incident occurred earlier this month. He's expected to serve the ban and join the Grizzlies next week. Morant will forfeit about $669,000 in salary because of the ban. Cuba is set to feature at the World Baseball Classic semi-finals for the first time since 2006. To achieve the feat, Cuba beat Australia, who advanced past the group stage for the first time. Cuba lost the 2006 final to Japan. The team has also been eliminated in the second round of the previous 3 WBCs. German Open champion Angus Carlong was retired hurt in his opening All-England Open Badminton Championships game. Angus has said he was carrying an Achilles tendon strain picked up during the German Open final. Hong Kong number 2 Lee Chuk-Yiu has bowed out of the first round of the All-England Open as well. You lost to world number 1 Victor Alexson. World number 1 Iga Swiatek has called for more support for Ukrainian players from the Women's Tennis Association. Swiatek's comments followed 2 incidents at the Indian Wells tournament. The first was Russia's Anastasia Potapova wearing a Spartak Moscow soccer jersey. The second was Ukrainian player Lysia Sturenko being pulled out of the tournament. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will receive a grid penalty at this weekend's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He will have at least a 10-place drop. The penalty is a result of his retirement from the season-opening race in Bahrain. Leclerc's car had 2 problems with the electronics control unit on race day in Bahrain. F1 drivers are restricted to 2 electronics control unit problems for a season. Actor Julia Roberts has been roped in by Chopard as its global ambassador. The 4-time Oscar winner will star in a 12-part digital campaign titled Love of Cinema. The first video will release on March 20th. Queen's lead guitarist and founding member gets a knighthood. Brian May was knighted by King Charles III. The 75-year-old was honoured for his contribution to music and charity. The ceremony took place at Buckingham Palace. His wife, the actress Anita Dobson, accompanied him. Singer Taylor Swift's song All Too Well is now part of Stanford University's curriculum. It's part of a course called All Too Well 10-week version. and teaches an in-depth analysis of Swift's 2012 song. Each week of the course will dissect 1 minute of the 10-minute song. Spin-offs for the sci-fi show Doctor Who have been announced. The first spin-off will be based on the military organization UNIT. British actress Gemma Redgrave is to reprise her role as Kate Stewart. The new series will be part of the expanded Who universe. This is part of a deal with Disney Plus to take it worldwide. Citadel gets an early renewal for Season 2 ahead of the release of its first season. The Priyanka Chopra Jonas starrer will debut on April 28th. The spy thriller was made on a budget of $200 million. Lenny Kravitz will host the 2023 iHeartRadio Music Awards. The singer will also perform at the show. Kravitz recently performed at the Oscars ceremony. Coldplay, Pink are also slated to perform at the upcoming awards. The show will air live from the Dolby Theatre on March 27th. Celebrity stylist Roach announces his retirement in an Instagram post. Roach has been stylist to Zendaya and Priyanka Chopra Jonas. He also became Louis Vuitton's brand ambassador in February. This news shocked his industry friends. Supermodel Naomi Campbell and designer Christian Siriano have come out in his support. K-pop band BTS's military enlistment is reportedly leading to a slump in the global growth of K-pop. The chairman of record label Hybe has said that global ratings and album sales have declined. BTS took a break last year owing to mandatory military service. It's likely to reunite in 2025. Disney Plus cancels live-action series Willow. The news comes 2 months after the first season's debut. The 8-episode series was based on the 1988 hit film of the same name. The show couldn't garner the popularity of the original movie. However, the series was well received by critics. Singer-songwriter Bobby Caldwell has died at the age of 71. The R&B maestro died at home after a prolonged illness. His wife Mary Caldwell announced the news on Twitter. He's most known for his 1978 hit, What You Won't Do for Love.
An Indian becoming a UK PM.
Well, it's not like that we are going to get the Kohinoor back. But at least India is on its way to the top, huh?
But Gautam sir, there's actually not much to celebrate.
Why not? An Indian is ruling the UK.
Indian leaders in third countries often tend to overcompensate for their minority handicap.
Key.
For example, Sunak's Home Secretary of Indian origin, Suella Braverman, disapproved of India-UK free trade because it would encourage people immigrating to the UK, and the majority of whom were Indians. Structurally, India and UK have passed baggage, but still hasn't been resolved. And that is why,
ladies and gentlemen, India needs to significantly temper its expectations from Rishi Sunak. Presenting Vantage with me, Palki Sharma, a first-of-its-kind global show with an Indian perspective.